said, I'm Theresa Goldner, and I'm the Kern County Counsel. It is a pleasure to be here. I am here because Supervisor Scrivner asked me to. And I heard the gentleman say he felt uncomfortable running the meeting because he's not sure how to do it. And that's okay. A lot of people feel that way. And what I want you to know is that we will provide you the training that you need. We will provide anyone on the board the training that they need in order to feel comfortable running a meeting and to get a good handle on the Brown Act and all of those types of things that apply to meetings like this. So we're here for you. Your bylaws, actually the board's resolution provides the county council will provide telephone advice to you at no charge. And actually what I'm prepared to do is to go beyond that and to come out and give training to your board on how to run meetings, if that would be helpful to you. If all of your members would like that, I'm more than happy to do it. So if you want us,
I'll welcome the direction.
Very good, because we want to make your job easier, not harder. We want you to feel comfortable doing it. The reason that I'm here primarily was to address an issue of 3 resolutions that were going to be heard by your board tonight. I'm sorry that I came in late. Was the gist of your discussion that you're not going to consider those tonight, or that you are?
The one we would consider is not going to be really heard until August because we wanted to give the RCS time to respond, and they have until August for August meeting to respond. So really, no, none of them are going to be heard tonight.
No,
The only portion that we plan on tonight is reviewing questions to ask our CSD,
Yeah,
which have not been asked yet.
We want to ask,
I want to make sure that all of the MAC council members received a copy of my letter. Have you all received a copy of it? If you haven't, I brought copies with me tonight. I'm happy to give them to you. I also brought extra copies if anybody in the audience would like to see the letter that I wrote. It has to do with making sure that your board is fully informed on the law when you make motions and consider resolutions. And specifically what I was concerned about with respect to the 3 resolutions that we're going to be presenting tonight was to make sure that your board did not do anything that might possibly put your board in legal danger. And when I say your board, I mean your board as a group, as well as all of the individual members of your board. It's very important when you're acting as a council that you only act within the scope of your legal authority. And your legal authority in this case is governed by 3 different things.
I have a question for you. We've never had council here before. Is this something we're supposed to discuss in closed session, or does it matter if it's an open session?
No, it can be discussed in open session. And I'm discussing it as part of the supervisor's request.
Okay.
So what you need to be aware of as far as the scope of your authority goes, and this has to do with any board, but with respect to the MAC, you need to pay particular attention to Government Code Section 3110. That's 31010. That's the Government Code section by which your MAC was created by the Board of Supervisors.
It's at the bottom of each one of our
pages. That's right. And specifically, it talks about what you can and can't do, and what the Board of Supervisors can restrict you from doing. And in this case, specifically, I want to direct your attention to this sentence. It says, this is from the first sentence of 3110, it says the Board of Supervisors of any county
It's actually page 4 of the agenda that was struck.
may by resolution establish and provide funds for the operation of the Municipal Advisory Council for any unincorporated area in the county to advise the board on such matters which relate to that area as may be designated by the board concerning services which are or may be provided to the area by the county or local government agencies. And it goes on. But the most important part with respect to your authority is the language that says to advise the board on such matters which relate to that area as may be designated by the board. The things that you can do. That's the first kind of primary thing that you need to be concerned about. And then the second issue that you really should look at in considering the scope of your authority is what does the board resolution say? And in this case, there is a board resolution that was enacted by the Board of Supervisors, and I refer to it in my letter, but I want to read from it right now, because the relevant part of the resolution says, it's paragraph 12, and it's the second sentence. Well, the first sentence says, the council shall advise the Board of Supervisors on all matters specifically referred to the council by the Board of Supervisors and authorized by section 3110. That's the section I just referred to. But then it says, whenever specifically authorized to do so by the Board of Supervisors, the council may represent the community of Rosamond to any state, county, city, district agency, or other organization on a matter concerning the community. So what that sentence says is that you can represent the Rosamond community to others, but only as specifically designated by the Board of Supervisors. So that's a further limit on your authority in addition to 3110. And then finally, the third thing that limits your authority is your bylaws. In this case, your bylaws at Article 2, Section A2, talks about how you have to get the permission from the District 2 supervisor before you can represent the MAC board
And
to
A2 is
anybody
actually,
other than the board of supervisors. So there's really 3 levels of restrictions on your authority, and it's very important that you make sure that you contain your actions within your authority. So you might ask, well, why is that? Why does it make any difference? It's because when you act beyond the scope of your authority, you subject yourselves and you subject the MAC part to liability. And that means that you can be sued individually. And that's something that we don't want to see. One of the things that you need to be concerned about with respect to some of these resolutions, in my humble opinion, is that you need to be concerned about libel. Libel is defamation. Defamation is when you name someone in their conduct of their business or their character. And you need to be very careful that what you say is true, that what you say is within the scope of your authority. Otherwise, you're exposing yourself to liability. And that's what, as the county council, I don't want to see you do that. Because the county will not indemnify you, the county will not defend you from any lawsuits if you walk outside the scope of your authority, if you take any action beyond that. So that's my message to you today. I want to make sure that you all understand that, so that you clearly understand what your authority is. You know, not to walk outside the scope of it, because once you get out of that zone of safety, you could be in legal trouble.
Grace Resource Center, we're to start our 24th year of serving Yamhill Valley. We're feeding about 15,000 people a month now, which includes the folks that stay at the shelter. We took over the Lancaster Community Shelter 3 years ago. July 1st was our anniversary. We have a lot going on, a lot of cool things, and our summertime is the hardest time to raise funds. So this Sunday is our annual Christmas in July with the Jethawks. The game starts at 5 o'clock. Tickets are available at Grace tomorrow till 5, and they're $6 a person. And you can purchase tickets there and just go to. If you have kids especially, Santa will be there on his way from the Bahamas to the North Pole, and all the kids get a toy. Our thrift store truck is loaded with toys, and we did that for 2 reasons. One, so we can help the kids, and also because we needed all the toys out of our, we have a semi-truck trailer. We need all the toys out of it so the Girl Scouts and their dads can build new shelves Saturday morning. So, we're doubling up on the duty here. So the reality is this Sunday is our big event. It's a total blast. They play Christmas music throughout the game so it doesn't feel like it's 104. And the kids have a blast, face painting, the whole 9 yards, and it'll be a really fun time. So back up a day, on Saturday we have our quarterly Veterans Outreach. 4 out of 10 homeless men are veterans, and for any of you veterans, thank you for your service. And so we really put ourselves out for our vets, and also one. So Saturday at Grace Chapel, which is at 15th Street West, just north of the hospital, we have about 25 different services, a dental team, we give out socks and underwear and t-shirts, and it starts at 8 in the morning. My Lancaster Rotary does breakfast and lunch. And we have everyone, the benefits people, the medical people from the VA. Most of our Vietnam vets, which we have a bunch yet, still don't trust the government, and they won't go to the VA for medical help. But they trust me because we feed them, and so they come to our deal, and then I introduce them to Betty from the VA. And after they have a little heart attack, we go, no, it's okay, she's nice. They walk out of there with a monthly pension, or with their card to get their free medical, and they can do it out of our clinic in town and not have to go to Supplement. So there's a lot of healthy stuff going on Saturday with vets. So if you, for this Saturday, if you know anybody, send them down there. The address of the church is 44648 15th Street West. I think that's on our website too. And then Christmas in July, you can come by and get tickets, or you can buy them from Jethawks Sunday afternoon, and we still will get credit for that. July 25th, maybe, they start selling the tickets. When the fair starts, the fare to get into the fair, is that doubly redundant? The fare is $10, but if you buy a pre-sale ticket, they're $6, and Grace Resource Center gets $1 for every ticket sold. So the last 3 years, they've raised over $120,000 for us, and Dan Jacobs is committed to raising $100,000 for us this year. And the reason that's important is because, as I said, the summertime's a hard time to raise money. Our budget is about $115,000 a month. And
You feed 15,000 people a month?
15,000 people a month, yeah. And what we do, we have computer training classes, welfare to work classes, 2 parenting classes, and an anger management class, which really makes me mad. No, I just had to get that. So that's what's going on.
CHP commander, and I brought with me, we have a newly transferred sergeant, John Williams, and he is a local Rosamond community member. And so part of what I do is attend these meetings, or in my absence I send a supervisor. And since John transferred in June 1st, I'm going to designate John as a regular attending member on the department, and I'll sporadically attend. But I want to make sure he has a connection here in the community. He wants the involvement. I'm happy he transferred in, but I wanted to introduce him to everybody. And you'll see him as a regular person. But I did bring you some statistics for the second quarter, which would cover April, May, and June on traffic collisions and arrests, DUI arrests here in the Rosamond area. So the Highway Patrol completed 38 DUI arrests during that quarter. And when I broke them down, of those 38, 10 of them were occurring on Rosamond Boulevard, 12 of them were on Sierra Highway, and 7 of them were on State Route 14, just from Avenue A to just north of this curve here when it starts to go straight. And 9 of them were in the surrounding local county roads. So that's kind of the DUI breakdown here in Rosamond. And traffic collisions, there were 13 property damage collisions within the Rosamond area, and we took 15 injury traffic collisions during that second quarter. So does anybody on the board have any questions for us, or any concerns regarding traffic related issues?
Are we all set up for school starting here in 2 weeks?
Oh, we are actually. My public information officer just conducted during this week 2 Start Smart programs, and we even conducted a Live Well, Age Well driving presentation. So.
Driving presentation for the kids in high school?
Well, the Live Well, Age Well is for seniors, senior driving, but the Start Smarts are for teenage drivers.
And even though school's not in session, you're able to get a good crowd there?
Hey, well, we just had one today at the airport, at the Mojave Airport, and I think they were expecting somewhere around 6 or 7. And then they were in Tehachapi earlier in the week, and I think they said they had around 14 to 20.
Okay, they're going to be going down to Rosamond anytime soon?
You know, I don't know when the next one's scheduled, but I know she's currently working on making sure that we get to the Rosamond High School. So.
Okay. And is there any road concerns from anybody? Safety issues? Everything else seems to be working pretty smooth.
Okay, I look forward to the next meeting.
The public reminded about is Chromium 6. It's rearing its ugly head from the state legislature. And this was put on the back of a budget bill to be signed by the governor into law back in June. And unfortunately what it is that they are reducing the Chromium 6 allowance from 50 parts per billion to 10 parts per billion. And I know that people hear the word chromium and chromium 6, and they all relate to the Hinckley and Aaron Brockovich and stuff like this. Chromium 6 is a natural occurrence in water through the minerals leaching off stones and the water supply. Our chromium sits at about 11 to 13 parts per billion, and so it's always been well under the 50 parts allowable. The federal standard is 100 parts. But anyhow, with Hinckley and Aaron Brockovich, that was done by PG&E. It was a man-made incident. The chemicals from their plant were leaching into the water supply through their cooling system and their cooling towers and things like that. And the chromium-6 that was in the Hinkley water supply was about 14,500 part million. So you can see the contrast there and the difference. But nevertheless, we have to address this issue. Every water agency in California has to address this issue. And right now we are in the early stages of working this problem out. We are working, trying to find solutions to where it's not going to have an impact on the community. And that's what we're trying to work a solution towards. The second thing that I wanted to talk about this evening is our drought. Everybody can go in there, turn on their shower, turn on their faucets, get a drink of water, and you're going to continue to do so. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a drought. We've got to conserve water. The community of Rosamond, we met our 2020 mandate a while back. And what that is that the state of California required every community in Rosamond to cut their water consumption 20% by the year 2020. We've already reached that. This community has done a great job of conservation, and I applaud this community for doing that. But we have got to keep in mind that everybody says we're going to get an El Nino this year. But until we actually get the rain coming out of the sky, we've got to keep up the good work and keep conserving water.
Our big event that we have coming up will be Armed Forces Appreciation Day in Septemberfest. That'll be held on the 27th of September. The parade starts at like 10 o'clock, and we have the event at the park. We do have the applications available for the parade and the Septemberfest. We will be doing the Rosamond Got Talent part of it again, so if anybody would like to be part of that, we'll have that available. We do have the Renew Biz Grant program coming up soon. They haven't set the date as to when it's going to start. It's a program set up for improving the downtown area. If you're within the visioning process, you can apply for a grant up to $10,000. So that should be coming sometime soon. And then also the Diamond Street project is getting put on hold temporarily. It looks like their start date is going to be first part of January. They said they could start in December. We do have a parade that we do in December, so we're most likely going to hold off until January to start that. And also we do have a website, it's therosamondchamber.com. We are working on improving that. It's going to take a little more time, but we are making progress, and that's part of why.
My staff is working, we're talking about doing a rollout of this year's grants in August. So you guys should be prepared. We're going to do a series of workshops. Ross Furman is leading that up along with Jackie Kitchen in my office. And so we're hoping to roll out the next batch of possibilities for applications starting in August. So we're obviously going to do workshops, make sure everybody understands the rules now. The other thing we're doing is collecting before and after pictures because we'd like to get them up on the website, as people finish everything. So excited. So we move into our next phase.
Do they know how much money is going to be available?
Don't know yet. It's part of the big reveal. Thank you.
One of the things that's happened is, and you may have read about that a bit in the Valley Press today, the State Water Resources Control Board the other day adopted regulations that give local agencies the authority to fine individuals who waste water up to $500 a day, and that's going to be a criminal infraction. Now, they did not say that must be imposed. They said you can do that. There are no agencies throughout California right now that are saying they're going to do that. They did define what wasteful use of water would be, and as you can imagine, there's a number of things that we would probably all consider to be wasteful anyway. But it can be done, and they went on further to say that most agencies throughout the state of California have either imposed or suggested water saving methods, or have even imposed certain restrictions and so on. So people are being told they need to save. In some areas they are doing well. It said the 1% increase in May throughout the state was mostly driven by an 8% jump in the coastal Southern California. I don't know why they're using necessarily more water, but they are, or they have it. So, and like I said, there's a number of folks that have been conserving water and so on. One of the things that thought I'd mention too, for at least a different audience, maybe some of the younger folks, is Lady Gaga has also joined the California's Water Conservation Campaign. Apparently last February, she got permission to fill the pool at Hearst Castle for a music video shoot. And one of the conditions for allowing her to do that was for her to participate in a public service announcement promoting water conservation, which has just come out. It's a 17-second plea to help save water at home. And like I say, those of you that have maybe sons, daughters, grandchildren, I don't know, whatever, that see her on social networks, it's but sadly, according to this author, you'll find none of the singing, wacky outfits, or theatrical production values she's normally known for in that video. But she's even trying to help get the message out about saving water. I think the one thing to bring up is, I think I mentioned before, most of the agencies are actually this year using up their reserves from previous years and using a lot of groundwater. So if we get a drought that continues into the next year, we are going to be under a serious problem, very, very serious problem. So hopefully there'll be either an El Nino or whatever it might be. But yeah, if you think it's bad this year, wait till next year if we continue to get very little rain or very little snowpack in the Northern California area.
Because of the drought, the state legislature is very involved in this whole idea of groundwater sustainability plans. Because this is an adjudicated basin, it may not take effect, but that legislation will be signed by the governor. There's two main bills. It's very complicated, and I wanted to let you know that on July 29th in the afternoon, the Board of Supervisors is going to take up an item to talk about their comments on that legislation. We predict they're going to have to be up to 7 of these plans. The question of whether the Antelope Valley portion would have to, in the bill, it specifically talks about the Antelope Valley adjudication, but the idea behind the sustainability is that all of Kern County will have to do this. It's very expensive, and it would be within 5 years you have to have a groundwater sustainability plan to be in balance in 20 years, and it's a 50-year plan. And if you don't do it within 5 years, the state will come down and take control of your groundwater. So this is a very serious issue for the economic stability of Kern County. I just want to remind you, yes, you have renewable energy, and I'm glad that it's gone up. I've lived here 33 years. The reason that we still have Rosamond is because that oil company, which is 50% of our tax revenue, comes over the mountains. That is why we are all still here. And 50% of that revenue is our county budget. And 75% of the oil is pumped in Kern County, along with agriculture, and they all use water. So all of the basins in Kern County, when you read this legislation, they talk about high and medium impacted. It's the whole county. We don't have one basin that doesn't fall into that. So I did want to let you know, if you're interested in water, if you're interested in this conversation, July 29th in the afternoon, we're going to have an item because the board wants to weigh in on the issue of local control. Okay? We need local control in our water districts, in relationship with our board of supervisors. We are not interested in being micromanaged by Sacramento, who hardly knows geographically how to find this community, let alone spell it. So when it comes down to it, this issue affects us, even though we're adjudicated, because the economics of the whole county affects us. So just want to let you know.
Water districts in an unincorporated area, those are the white spaces that the county is responsible for.
And what role then should the RMAC, as a kind of, I guess, an advisory planning commission, anticipate?
Well, you can certainly report back and make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors about what you think about it and how you think they should respond in those white spaces.
And so we need to educate ourselves with respect to the Willow Springs sub-basin, with respect to the, should we know more about the groundwater adjudication? Has Kern County been involved in the groundwater adjudication for the Antelope Valley Water Basin?
We haven't been involved in that, but we are very involved in the legislation we're closely watching the legislation that's going through the state right now. There should be a bill coming out very soon that's going to deal with groundwater, and that's basically the extent of what we've been doing. We're also working very hard on trying to come up with a proposal. It's going to be discussed with the Board of Supervisors about how the county should react as a result of that legislation to get the kind of structure in place that will work best for Kern County and the unincorporated areas.
Well, one of the structures that we heard from a couple of years ago was the Victor Valley, actually the Mojave River adjudication. Have you heard of that? It's one that we actually wanted to pattern ours after. They only hit the high spots though. They did like, I think, 10 acres is their biggest spot, and basically their median buffers on up. Unique in that was that, as you know, first when time is first right means something, a little bit anyway. Barstow was there before Victorville and Alabama. So,
Excuse me, I think we move on.
hang on. In other words, the downstream water user, Barstow, had a say on how that basin is adjudicated. Lancaster's always been the largest community here. We're downstream, we obviously don't have much of a say in Kern County with respect to the overall basin, but is there some way maybe you can learn from the Mojave River Basin? Just talk to those guys if you're looking at that. The county shouldn't get involved unless you want us to get involved more. The Mojave River adjudication is a good model to look at. It's been adjudicated.
We have filed, the Office of County Counsel, at the direction of the Board of Supervisors, has filed 3 lawsuits on 3 dispensaries in your area. And the ones that we filed lawsuits on, the first one is a case called County of Kern versus DASA, D-A-S-A, Green River Collective. That lawsuit was filed on May 16th. It's now at issue. The dispensary, the defendant, filed an answer on July 14th. And our next step is to file a motion for preliminary injunction, which is what we are going to do. And in a preliminary injunction, we are going to be asking the court to shut down the dispensary. But before we do that, we need to make sure that we have all of the evidence necessary to present to the court as part of our motions. And so we are not at that point yet, but we will shortly be filing that motion, and I wanted to give you that assurance.
That's very good news, thank you.
The second dispensary that we filed on is one called, in a case called County of Kern versus Organic Health Solutions. And the first one was located at 1733 Sierra Highway in Rosamond. The second one is located at 1315 West Rosamond Boulevard, Suite 1A in Rosamond. And that lawsuit was also filed on May 16th of this year. The defendants filed an answer on July, and again, what is pending is we will be filing a motion for preliminary injunction as soon as we get all of our ducks in order on the evidence to present to the court on that. And then the third lawsuit is called County of Kern versus TCEF, DBA All Green Collective, Tony F. Monisar and James Satterfield. And that's a dispensary that's located at 2753 Diamond Street in Rosamond. Again, that complaint was also filed. We filed a series of complaints on May 16th. That was one of the ones that we filed for your area. We are still trying to get one of the remaining defendants served. Sometimes in these lawsuits, we're finding that it's hard to find some of the defendants that were required to name as defendants and get them served for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes they run, sometimes they hide, but they can't always run and hide forever, so we have to get them served. And again, that's another case that we will be filing a preliminary injunction motion on. I can't tell you exactly when we're going to file it because that's part of our strategy, but I can assure you that it will be happening soon. So we are aggressively pursuing these dispensaries, but you have to make sure that you have all of your evidence in order when you go to court, and that's what we're doing. And that concludes my report on the dispensaries. I also want to let you know that, in fact, I do have my cards with me. I brought a card for all of you as well as anybody in the audience that might want one, and I'll just leave it at the end of the table. Thank you.
One of them is, the first one is College Information Night. That'll be the evening of Thursday, September 11th of this year. And what that is representatives from many, many colleges from throughout the country, basically, plus military recruiters will be there.
Where's there?
Pardon me?
Where?
It'll be at the Antelope Valley Fairgrounds. I'm getting there. At the Antelope Valley Fairgrounds from 4:30 to 7:30, open to the public. Typically, we have junior and senior high school students and their parents are all welcome. Talk to any of the colleges. Like I said, the recruiters will be there too, get an idea of what they might want to do. There'll also be some workshops put on throughout the evening on how to apply to college, how to get money to go to college, those kinds of workshops also. So that's open to anyone from throughout the Antelope Valley. It's free to attend. Usually have a fairly large contingent of folks that attend that evening. The next one is Salute to Youth. That will be our 23rd annual one. It will be on Thursday, October 9th in the morning. We have typically about 300 8th grade students and about 2,500 high school freshmen, ninth graders from throughout the Antelope Valley brought in. We have folks from Rosamond, Desert High School out in at the base, and like I say, from throughout the valley, public schools, private schools, charter schools are all invited. Excuse me. That is basically a career showcase, if you will, for any and all businesses from throughout the Antelope Valley that we invite to put on a display. It could be that we provide the tables and chairs. Some of the aerospace companies even have flight simulators, whatever it might be. There's no requirement to do that exotic thing. We have the fire department, just a whole variety of folks come in. The intent is to expose to students what it may take to achieve that career, and early on, even they may influence what they might want to do in high school or something, at least to give them an idea and exposure to be thinking about careers, what careers are out there, what it may take to get into that career. So please spread the word on that. We invite any and all businesses from throughout the Antelope Valley to participate. Typically the setup is the afternoon before, be there in the morning, and everything is done by about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There's no charge for the students to come through, and there's no charge for any of the exhibitors. So I do have some flyers here, and there's some information on the back too if anybody would like to have them.